right, we're going to go ahead and roll into our post-race availability here for today's Advent Health 400 at Kansas Speedway for the NASCAR Cup Series. We've now been joined by our race-winning team. We're joined by team owner Joe Gibbs and also joined by our race-winning crew chief Chris Gaypart. Congratulations, gentlemen, on that win today with Denny Hamlin. Joe, we'll start off with you. This is Joe Gibbs Racing's 400th win. Tell us a little bit about what that means to you to be able to not only accomplish today's win, but to take home your 400th.
Yeah, it's a thrill. You know, when we started in racing, our very first year in '91, we had 17 people and raced one car. And, you know, we just kept building and building and building. I didn't dream that it would be anything like where we are today. But I'm just thrilled for all of our people that helped build our race team. That's the people back in town. I appreciate, obviously, all of our sponsors. It meant so much to me today to be able to call Fred Smith and talk to him. As we know in our sport, the thing that's really different is our sponsor partners, and I call them partners. The other wild thing that I'm not sure this has been done before, but I called Norm Miller at Interstate Batteries. He's been here for all 400. Can you imagine that? And so I just thank Norm so much for getting us started. If it hadn't been for him, we may not be in racing. And we love it, and just really appreciate everything today, and appreciate the crowd here, everybody.
All right, and Chris, for you, obviously you guys have been in contention, you know, several times this season. Denny really drove extremely hard there at the end to finally make that pass on Larson there right before the checker. Talk a little bit about your vantage point from the pit box, and I think you guys were saying over the radio, like, you're going to get him, you know, stay in it, and he really, you know, did at the end.
Yeah, thanks. I'll take just a minute here first to congratulate Coach and all the people who put together 400 NASCAR wins. You know, I know a little bit about what goes into that, not near what he does and not near for the length of time, but I just can't tell you enough what an accomplishment that is. Very proud to be a part of it. So congratulations, Coach. As for the race, I was just telling Jamie in the lounge this morning, the one thing that unfortunately, in my view, unfortunately, sets our sport apart from so many is it's so hard for the common fan to understand what they just witnessed today. You just can't understand how hard that is to do, like you can, you know, throw a 40-yard touchdown pass, or, you know, throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball in the World Series to win Game 7, or, you know, how hard it is to shoot three-pointers, whatever it is, swing a golf club, right? Every fan, everybody in here has done all of those things. And so when you watch pros do it, it's amazing, right? You can watch in awe and truly appreciate just how hard it is to do. Unfortunately, in our sport, it's hard to relate to that. You don't know what it's like to drive a race car at 190 miles an hour. And while I've never done it at this level at a track like this, I have got to do it. And guys, let me tell you, what Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin did out there today, and what you see every week. I'm not overselling it. I'm telling you, it is so hard to do. And I'm just so proud of Denny to work over what, in my view, is really the most talented race car driver in the world. I won't shy away from that. I've said it. I said it on the radio. I'll say it for all you guys. You can print it. I think, pound for pound, the type of racing that how far he spans, all the things that he wins in, Kyle Larson's the most talented race car driver in the world. But Denny Hamlin beat him today. What's that say about Denny Hamlin? So I'm just so proud of my guys, so proud of Denny to be able to force the world's best into a few mistakes there that ultimately got us the win, and just very thankful to be here.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move to questions for both Chris and Coach. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll work to get a microphone to you. We'll start up front with Zach.
Zach Sterniolo with NASCAR.com. Chris, for you, Denny talked about having a lot of confidence going into this stretch of races, really a stretch that started a couple weeks ago. To have had the speed you had at Dover, come here, capitalize on the fast car, when it looked like, the 5 and the 24 found their speed late. How satisfying is it to see, and gratifying is it to see Denny rally back, find a way to reel Kyle in on that final lap?
Yeah, these are really great stretch of tracks for us. I mean, Dover, even Talladega, Martinsville, Richmond. Every Monday in the meetings, he's telling everybody in our meetings he's had a car capable of winning, and we know that's what we're capable of as an 11 car, and really have been all along. We've just not been able to have the clean races when we have cars capable of competing for wins. So for me, honestly, the last 10 or 15 laps, again, what I told you guys about how hard this is to do, I was just so thankful. Whether we won or lost, I was so thankful to be in a position to compete for that win right there, because that means that we all did our jobs. Denny, myself, the pit crew, Lambert, the engineers, we all did our jobs, got to the end with a shot to win, and then were rewarded with an absolute top-notch slugfest. So of a battle that we came out on top of. So very, very thankful for that win and the way it turned out. I'm sure Denny is going to make Kyle eat some crow for a while here, so it's good.
All right, I believe, okay, we'll have a question here, then we'll go to Bob and Jeff.
This one's for Coach Clint Schweitzer from Starcade Media here. We talked about 400 team wins, and of course you won 3 Super Bowls with the Washington Redskins. I mean, what are the feelings compare when you see what you've done as a whole in this endeavor, kind of versus the feelings you had winning 3 Super Bowls?
Yeah, I think I grew up in football on that side. I was the technical guy, helped design stuff, call plays. That's a thrill. Over here, I'm not the technical person, and so I try and focus on the people and the sponsors. And the great thing about over here, too, is my family. And I appreciate you mentioning the 400 again. I think back to JD. JD spent his entire professional life building our race team. And then Coy, when his brother got sick, stepped over. And Coy and his son Ty, everything has taken place. It's Heather now stepping into our ownership role. It's family. So over here, Miller was here today. He'll be coming on board. And so on this side, it's a thrill for me because I missed so much of both boys when I was coaching and after it so much. And I got a chance to relive some of that time with them and obviously miss them, but they were a big part of building this too. So thanks for letting me answer that.
All right, now we'll go to Bob and to Jeff.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. Chris, you were kind of encouraging. Danny said you'll get him, but after a couple of tries and being side by side and not completing the pass, what was your confidence level going into the final lap?
It was still high. Our car was quite a bit better, and Larson wasn't really you could tell he wasn't really confident where we were going to attack from. There were a few different lanes that we could attack from, which when he was as loose as he was getting, and he's also got not sure which lane he has to protect, it makes his job extra hard. And hey, that's a high pressure situation to be in. We've seen Larson in those situations before, carry a car further than most could, let me say, but ultimately, he's not afraid to make some mistakes too to get that done, and ultimately just made one too many, and Denny was just a little too perfect for him today.
All right, any final questions? Do you have another one? Go ahead.
Chris, that there's been a lot made of, Hendrick was off to a pretty fast start, and maybe you guys were playing catch up a little bit. How do you see things shaking out now? I mean, it was a very Hendrick and Gibbs day sort of together. Who has the strength? Who has the advantage?
Yeah, I know you guys have to have something to write about every week, but it's such a long season, full of kind of comers and goers, and then that's the quantifiable part of it. We're all trying to make our cars faster and pit crews better, and then there's the part that you have such a hard time quantifying, and that is the streaks. You just get hot and you get confident, and what does that create? You can't quantify it, but it's real. So right now, everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing and Toyota has been working extremely hard to make fast cars. I really think they're a little faster than maybe even we've been able to showcase at times, because it's so hard to get it all together at the same time. Obviously our pit crews have been in the media a little bit, and let me say how proud I am of them today, specifically on the 11. Had a tough week last week, and there's two things you can do. You can fold, or you can come in and go to work and try to be better. And Tuesday after Dover's race, they were in shop 7 a.m. busting their butt to turn it around. And so I'm just so proud of that. But you talk about where we're at right now. I think if we can get it all put together, I think we got some really good stuff, and looking forward to the summer stretch.
All right, we'll take one final question up here from Zach.
Chris, from a crew chief's perspective, obviously there was a lot of cautions today, a lot of aggressive driving on the racetrack, right? So from your perspective on the pit box, how does that inform how you come back here in the playoffs, if at all?
Yeah, man, Kansas is clearly, after today, is our best track, and we got a lot of good ones. It doesn't matter what gen car and whatever. This guy and his confidence here, and his ability to know what he needs on the racetrack, where and when, and our ability to match that to the data to show up with what he needs is clearly one of our real sweet spots. So to the playoff race, I look forward to that. To the specifics of this race and trying to call it with all the cautions coming, and you're kind of out of tires and you're down to qualifying scuffs or not. Do you put your new ones on or your qualifying scuffs? And you can't know how it's going to play out. So if there's one more caution there's a couple cars that's got stickers laying, and we got Q scuffs, and so do a few others. And it all depends on when the caution falls as to what the right call was. And I think sometimes in our sport we get lost in that a little bit. There are true forks in the road in terms of strategy that it's not a good call or a bad call. You tell me when the cautions come out, and I'll tell you what the call needs to be. That's just the way it goes, and glad this one turned out on our side this time.
All right, for Coach and Chris, congratulations again. We appreciate you guys spending some time with us. You're good to go. All right, now we'll shift to our race winner. For today's Advent Health 400 at Kansas Speedway, we've now been joined by Denny Hamlin, driver of the number 11 FedEx Toyota. Denny, congratulations on that win today. Take us through those final laps with your battle with Kyle.
Yeah, I knew we were better. I saw him starting to get loose pretty early in the run, but we were able to kind of pick through William there, and then it was just a slow march towards Kyle. And it really started with about 3 laps to go or so. I was able to get beside him a few times, but there was one where we caught a couple lap cars, and I got to the inside of them, and the lap car chose my lane on the bottom, and that really hurt us. I thought that was our best opportunity to pass him. And then so we were 2 to go. I knew the only way I was going to have an attempt to get near him was to get a huge run off of turn 4. So I ran way up high in turn 3, really kind of a Kyle Larson line, way up by the fence, and I just pulled it down and got a huge run. And that run down the front straightaway allowed me to pack air on him getting in the corner and get him up the racetrack so I could get beside him. And so we were both pedaling the throttle on the exit. I was sideways and he was sideways, and then as he started to kind of get ready to clear, I knew it was going to be close whether he was going to clear me, and I'm just trying to grind on his left side, trying to keep the side draft as tight as I could, and it's just a super sensitive part of the car if you get to the left rear, and obviously it hooked him to the right, and we won. The end.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take questions from the media. If you have a question for Denny, raise your hand. We'll work to get a microphone to you. We'll start with Zach and then go to Justin, back to Bob.
Zach Sterniolo, NASCAR.com. Denny, first of all, congrats. The racing out there, like I was just talking with Chris, obviously really aggressive all day long. What was your perspective from behind the wheel? And do you feel like that that level of intensity will continue into the playoffs?
Well, this is a Kansas track thing, right? This is just a perfect racetrack for this race car. The match between the car, the tire, and the racetrack it's just a perfect match. That's why you saw today really nobody running away from the field. As many leaders as we saw side by side. I mean, 2-3 laps in, I saw these guys dicing up 3 wide for the lead. It has just enough fall off where track position is very important, but it's not everything. You can still get position on someone like you saw there on the last lap. So it's a Kansas thing. And so what happens is that the preferred lane's up high, so you have to drive in the corner and pull a slider on someone, and sometimes that slider doesn't work, which is why you saw most of the wrecks, I think, were probably a product of that.
And then have you spoken with Kyle yet? Did he come to Victory Lane at all to see you?
No, I will later, I'm sure.
Okay, our next question will go to Justin, then to Bob, then we'll go to the left side. Go ahead.
Justin Schuler, Kicking the Tires. Denny, just your reaction to the crowd when you got out of your car on the front stretch there.
I mean, just kind of depends who's there on the reaction you're going to get. But, yeah, I mean, I don't have any reaction to it. It's Kyle's a little more popular than me, and so they're not going to like me winning.
All right, Bob.
Bob Parker's Fox Sports. I have two. What's like in all your racing history, where does that rank as far as like a battle between, what was two guys who were part of the 75 greatest drivers coming to the end of a race?
Yeah, it was exciting. I mean, I wish it wasn't contact, that decided it. But, I mean, who knows what happens in turns 3 and 4, right? I would have loved to have that opportunity, but, he may have got the better end of it. But it's certainly high on my list. Again, if I want to get to a win number, I've got to capitalize on every opportunity that I can. And to me, Kyle is just exceptional. I think my crew chief called him the greatest driver. Tells you what he thinks about me, but it's we have that kind of respect for Kyle that he's gonna far exceed my win total. But the time that I'm here, I've got to capitalize on every opportunity.
And have you seen any highlights of the Gregson
No.
Chastain fight, and what would be?
No, I saw Chastain in Victory Lane, but
Okay, so Ross did come. Did Ross come visit you
Yeah.
in Victory Lane?
Yeah.
What did he say to you?
he says, "Congrats, that was a hell of a run. I thought you would never get there." That was it.
All right, we're going to go to Jeff.
Is there
and
something I need to
Dalton.
talk about tonight?
Yeah, like you haven't seen it yet.
No.
Bob's got a video for you.
I bet you were front and center, weren't you, Bob?
I was pretty close. I led my cameraman to the water.
Oh.
So, do you think there's a chance that Kyle's not going to see it the same way you did, and he's going to think
Oh,
that?
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, no doubt. Roles reverse, right? I'm like, damn it, I'm pissed, for sure. So it's just different. Racing is so different now than it used to be, and man, I've certainly lost that way for sure. So, but yeah, you definitely have a difference of opinion, especially you're in your cocoon. You see things your way, right? You don't necessarily see all the things. He's leading the race up until the back straightaway. So definitely would respect any opinion he might have.
All right, Dalton, go ahead.
Denny Hamlin, You were once teammates with him, but now you're actually tied with Tony Stewart for all-time win on the all-time wins list. What does that mean to you, being tied with somebody like that?
Yeah, it's big. I mean, certainly, I think that that's why, I want to get at least 11 more. Is that it just puts you up there with some of the really, really, really big names of the sport. But again, being matched with Tony is unbelievable. I don't know what to say. It just certainly didn't think I'd ever have won, much less that many.
All right, we're going to go upstairs to the press box.
Christian.GetChance.com. Denny, a couple weeks ago you said you were going to get hot, so how hot can you really get?
You can get white hot. It's official.
All right, we'll come back downstairs.
Steven Stump, frontstretch.com. Denny, I have 2 questions. First of all, going back to, tying Tony Stewart, you're 1 away from 50. And as I mentioned yesterday, you stand alone with 4 wins at Kansas. No one else has any more. What's it like breaking all these milestones kind of in such a short time?
Yeah, I mean, it's a special place anyway, right? I got my first start here at Kansas back in long time ago. 05, something like that. So it's special for sure. And like he said, it doesn't matter kind of the car or the tire, whatever the aero package that changes. It's just I have, a feel at this track that I like to get. And when I get it, it certainly equals win. So really proud of that.
Okay. And the second question I had was, the broadcast announced that this was the most lead changes. I believe it was 37 on a 400-mile, 1.5-mile track. What was your experience from being in the car all day? Did you have fun? Was it like stressful? Was it?
Well, I actually said over the radio on lap 5 or 6 that when we had that early caution, I was like, man, it looks like fun up front. Like I started 8th, but I kind of got to like 5th or 6th pretty quick. And I saw that they were dicing like crazy for the lead. So it's just, again, this is a perfect match of track, car, and tire. This is when you match them all up perfectly, you get the kind of racing that you see today.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, we're going to take 2 final questions here. We have one right here and then up front.
Justin Farmer, KCOU. Oh, Denny, we had all cautions today. We had a ton of heat. Talk about a ton of heat, and just talk about the mental toll it took for all the restarts that were going on as everybody was going for position pretty hard out there.
Well, the challenge it gives us is that, we only have a certain amount of tires, right? And so when you have a car that you think is the best, which I thought ours was the best, I thought that you don't want to lose because of a tire strategy, right? You don't want a late race caution to come and you don't have tires, and next thing you know, some guys that stayed out through all these cautions extra have a set and they blow right by you. You don't like to lose that way, right? So at least I felt like the best cars were towards the front at the end, and it played out naturally, but certainly was frustrating because I knew our car was really good in the long run. So we just couldn't get anything longer than about 10 laps there during that 3rd stage for whatever reason. And certainly was agitating from my standpoint because I needed my car to come in later in a run. But luckily, the race kind of played out perfectly for me towards the end.
All right, come up front for our final question.
Caleb Vissel, SpeedwayDigest.com. Denny, you say this is a perfect car for the perfect track. What is Kansas doing that other mile and a halves aren't doing? I mean, is it just kind of luck of the draw? I mean, just a perfect track, or is it something that other mile and a half tracks can be doing?
So a lot of it has to do with how wide the racetrack is, so you're able to get away from the wake of the car in front of you. Generally, race cars don't like to be in the wake. So the narrower the track, the tougher the racing and the passing is going to be. And if you look at the times, there's about 1.5 seconds of fall off at this track. So like I said, you can, when your car is good, you can still make up positions by taking a different line than someone else can. So it's just a great match for it. It's got just enough grip to where you're hanging a lot of throttle, so there's a little bit of the drafting going on down the straightaway early in a run, and then it's all about handling and maneuverability of your car late in a run. So it's perfect mix.
All right, Denny, final question. Do you have a special intro song for the podcast when you win?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. Jared, we're going to get rowdy.
Congratulations, Denny,
All right,
on that win. Thank you for spending some time with us.